Do 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 do. You realize I got a bunch of stuff I gotta watch afterwards. Did not realize that. Completely forgot I had things to watch. I got time for that later. Do 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 do. All right, I don't even know how long this is gonna be. It's been quite the interesting week. It's actually been a quick week, so I have no clue how long I'm gonna take here. Wow, this is not the whole setup as usual. Just love getting this done and having you take forever because you want to take 12 years to load simple stuff up that should already be loaded. I mean, perfect. Who doesn't love this? Oh boy, oh boy, oh boy, oh boy. Take that out. I ain't even gonna lie, I wasn't fully ready and prepared, but here we are. I don't think I'm ever prepared for a preview video, but we here. It's time. We got some things to discuss, and then we'll go from, I guess, there. Let me see here. Everything that needs to be done here. All right, pretty much about done here. All right. And we are good to go. What is going on, everybody? Hope you guys are doing well. Welcome. Be very honest, I don't even know what I want to say. I got no actual plan for this, but I felt that it was time. Especially because we are starting to approach the AFC Championship game, which will be played on Sunday afternoon, 3 p.m. Eastern time. I know a lot of people were mad that we get to be the first game to start off with. Not just Ravens or Chiefs fans, just NFL fans in general, because this seems to be the best matchup of the two championship matchups. So people felt this should have been more of the 6 o'clock game. But what people don't understand is the championship game times alternate. So last year, the NFC Championship game went before the AFC Championship game, and this year it's just reversal. So that's usually how it's been. So this year it just happened to fall on the time where the AFC Championship game goes first, and then the NFC Championship game goes afterwards. Either way, it is what it is. Both games will be played on Sunday, so it honestly doesn't matter. But yeah, Ravens flock, what's going on, everybody? We've got a game on Sunday. Man, it feels very weird. Not weird, but I would say it feels somewhat surreal to know that we've got, honestly, 3 games of football left and the season's done. And there's a good chance we'll be playing in 2 of those final 3 games. If Baltimore is able to handle business on Sunday, they book their ticket to Vegas, they get 2 weeks off, and then they play the game to see if they can get the Lombardi trophy. So, at the end of the day, here we are. You don't always get these situations. You never know how a year is going to go. And for us, it's been an amazing year. It's been an amazing year, but thankfully it hasn't been an overwhelmingly amazing year. What I mean by that is it wasn't a year that just took everybody by surprise. Everyone brings it up, and thank God we crushed those demons, but everyone brings it up. 2019 is probably one of the more magical seasons we've had in franchise history because it was the first time we had actually, had a season like that. We'd never had a quarterback this talented before. We were always the underdogs. So to actually have an opportunity to get the 1 seed and then be able to host the AFC Championship game, we've never had that before. So 2019 was the first time we were in that position, and everybody was just so hyped to have a quarterback playing at an MVP level and the team's winning. Coming into that season, I don't know how y'all felt, but coming into that season, I felt that we could be a good team that would make it to the playoffs, potentially try to compete for the division, but I never thought we would be a team that would be the number one seed, the best team in football, break multiple records, be a historically crazy offensive team for our franchise, and then Lamar would win unanimous MVP. I didn't expect that coming into the 2019 season. So that was a season that kind of caught us by surprise, We didn't expect that. But for 2023, it didn't feel like that. The last couple years have been very difficult. 2020 it didn't feel exactly like 2019. We all know going into the playoffs, we were a wild card team. We just wanted to get over the playoff hump and have Lamar win its first playoff game, and then see if we can go get to an AFC Championship game to try and take on Mahomes. Many of us knew that 2020 Ravens team wasn't going to be able to compete for a title. It just wasn't as good, and obviously the team as a whole took a step back. But we wanted to see us get there. We lost in Buffalo, unfortunately. Lamar got knocked out the game, and that's all she wrote. 2021 immediately ended before it even started because you had multiple players suffer season-ending injuries in practice during training camp. So that ended the season before it got started, and it was just a difficult season through and through. And when Lamar went down, everything just went to hell. So 2021 was a disaster, and it was just a nightmare season for us. And then we come back in 2022. Guys are coming off of injuries. Nothing's really changed with the team. We've added some pieces and made some improvements, but it still feels like much of the same. We did add some great pieces down the stretch, which ultimately led to what this team would be this year because of some of those pieces we were able to get. But last year was another one of those seasons where we just wanted to stay healthy, see what we could do, get to the dance, and then try to compete. But injuries started to pile up again. You pretty much lost everybody on offense. When Lamar went down again, it just became back-to-back years of torture as a Ravens fan. So, it was just disastrous. And then those last 2 years, you were dealing with the whole contract situation, which wasn't making it easy for anybody, and Ravens fans were just stressing out through and through. So coming into this year, after all the changes happened, you finally get rid of Roman. You get a new offensive coordinator in Todd Monken. You add more pieces to the team. You get weapons for Lamar Jackson. Signing Nelson Aguilar. Signing Odell. You finally get the contract situation figured out with Lamar, and he's here for the next 5+ years. And then you go and draft Zay Flowers. The moves they made really opened up the door, which is why heading into this season, I feel a lot of us weren't looking at this season like 2019, where it's like, oh my God, it's a magical year. It felt like, okay, we got a new offense, new system. Lamar has weapons for the first time in his career, and he's actually in a prototypical NFL drop back passing system. It's just we tweak things to make it work within what we want to do. We've always been an offense that likes to run the football. That didn't start with Lamar Jackson. Our DNA is running the football and playing great defense. It's just that you have the most dynamic player in football in Lamar Jackson. So it just adds to that. It really just adds to that aspect. So coming into this year, we didn't know what this team could be, but, there was a lot of great pieces, and we just felt if we could stay healthy, which was the biggest aspect out of all this, if we could stay healthy, we can be a team that competes for a championship. But we knew it was going to take time. And I told everybody once we got Todd Monken early on that everybody needs to take time, calm down, relax, and give the man time to just implement a system and have it work on the field. Because a lot of guys were coming back from injury. And this season hasn't felt like the magical season that 2019 was. It felt like a season where we have a chance to truly build something. But we got to figure out what we're going to be. That's what it felt like. So to just work throughout the season to figure out what we're going to be, it was worth it. And it felt like this defense came into form as the season went on down the stretch. And as the defense, even though the defense was playing well throughout the season, they really came into form as we started going up against those really top tier, tough playoff type teams. And then the offense itself, it took some time, but it really started to get into a groove. So now we're sitting here in the playoffs, getting the number one seed again. We get to the divisional round, and everyone's like, is this 2019 all over again? And thankfully, the Ravens showed that the past is the past, that this team is not the 2019 team. And they showcased that they're not the 2019 team by winning that game against the Texans. So now we're back in the AFC title game for the first time since 2012, the year we won the Super Bowl. This is the healthiest the team has been since 2019. This team is better than 2019. You've got the pieces on defense to win you a championship. You've got a defensive leader in Roquan Smith. You've got bodies everywhere, from Roquan Smith to Patrick Queen, the best linebacking duo in football, to Kyle Hamilton, Brandon Stevens emerging, Geno Stone emerging, Marcus Williams still being productive. We don't know if Marlon Humphrey's going to play. He was limited in practice these last 2 days, so he did return, and he has been limited. He might be good to go. We'll see. But, he might be able to play. But, yeah, you still have Humphrey there. Ronald Darby has been amazing pickup. Same thing for Anthony Millette. For the first time in a long time, the Ravens have depth at cornerback. And we feel comfortable that whoever we throw out there is going to be able to match up with any receiving core. And so far throughout the season, that's been the case. Humphrey didn't start the season, and our corners did their job. There's been times where guys have missed time due to injury in our cornerback room, and guys have stepped up and done their job. They've held it down. So we've got that cornerback room. Then you look at the safety room, and it's great. You look at the linebacking core, it's great. Then you get to the front seven with Matabike there, and Clowney and Van Noy, and the pressure you're getting from Pierce and Urban and Jones, and it's just the defense as a whole has been so dominant this year. And then you flip to offense, the first time Lamar actually has a system that allows him to be free and do his job, and he's got weapons. He's got weapons. You give him a Zay Flowers. You give him an Odell. He has Nelson Aguilar. Rashad Bateman's healthy, and he's been doing his thing. He hasn't had a lot of opportunities and a lot of targets, but the guy has been doing his thing. So you've got the pieces on offense. And Isaiah Likely in year 2 has emerged. With Mark Andrews going down due to injury, Isaiah Likely has gotten the opportunity to truly show what he can do. And he showcased that he can be that guy. And the best part is, Mark Andrews might be able to join him. And if you've got Mark Andrews and Isaiah Likely out there this week, oh my God. A 2 tight end duo like that does damage, bro. That does damage. When you've got 2 tight ends that can win one-on-one matchups and can be a serious threat, that becomes a problem for defenses to deal with. Andrews, last week, he was limited for 1 practice and fully participated in the final 2, but he didn't go in that game. This week, he's been a full participant in practice. He'll probably be a full participant in practice tomorrow, which will be the final practice before, we get ready for this game. So there's a high chance Mark Andrews plays in this game. So you put up Mark Andrews alongside this offense that's gotten in their groove. Even if Mark Andrews isn't going to get the looks he was getting before, the mere threat of an all-pro tight end just being there, knowing how this guy is able to get open in space, he's able to find the zone and just make plays. If there's one trait he actually has similar to Kelce, is his ability to just get open. I don't know how Travis Kelce does it. I don't even know how Mark Andrews does it. But both these guys just find ways to just get open. They're such serious threats on the field, but they find ways to just get open in space. And that is such a dangerous weapon to have. So now you got this offense, you got this defense, you got Lamar Jackson playing the best football of his career, taking that next step. Exactly what we wanted to see is the best version of Lamar we've seen, and the team just seems ready for the moment. Now you've got the first AFC title game in our building. First AFC title game in franchise history, and the first AFC title game in Baltimore in 53 years. Amazing, amazing, amazing in terms of what's happened so far. So I just can't wait for this game to get started. We got some things to talk about here in terms of matchups and stuff and how things are going to go. Going to take a look at some of the comments before we get started. What's going on, Jacoby, Matthew, Deron? What's going on to some of you guys here? If the boys play like normal, I predict 35-17. Don't see quite 35. I don't think it's going to be that high scoring, but I do see us winning the game. Got to show them. If we blow them out, bro, I don't know who. I don't care if it's the Niners or the Lions. If the Ravens somehow blow out the Chiefs, which I don't see happening, if that happens, good luck in the Super Bowl to either one of these teams. But peace, love, energy, light, and honor to all my beautiful beloved. I appreciate that, Young Cherokee. Thank you for the positive vibes in the chat. The AFC title game is giving mixed feelings. Something makes me think the Super Bowl could be a rematch of the season opener, yet I'd rather see Lamar win a Lombardi. Yeah, there's always going to be mixed feelings and nerves because we're just waiting for the game. So, I mean, you're free to feel however you're free. It's always comes with the territory. It always comes with the territory when we're just waiting. The Ravens will take care of business Sunday. We hope they take care of business Sunday, but, that's a tough team to deal with. Will the plot armor Taylor Swift help Chiefs? Man, we're just here to play a football game. We're not dealing with none of that extra nonsense. We're just here to play a football game. We're just here to play a football game. By the way, I've been seeing all of that, man. Those Save Us Lamar Jackson memes and TikToks have been hilarious. Somehow this turned from, the Ravens and Chiefs going at it to the Ravens and specifically Lamar Jackson has to be the savior. Lamar has to save the NFL. He has to save the soul of sports. And I'm like, what is going on? These Save Us Lamar Jackson TikToks have been hilarious. And I've seen them over the last 2 days. It's crazy, man. The entire world apparently is just... The entire sports world is on the side of the Ravens for the first time in who knows. This has probably never happened. We've never been that team. We've never been that team that people have rooted for. We've always been the bad guys. We've always been the villains. All of a sudden, we're supposed to be the Avengers to stop Thanos. That's Patrick Mahomes. What are y'all coming up with on TikTok? It's hilarious. If there's one thing I do hope, regardless of what happens, is that Travis and Taylor have a healthy relationship moving forward. I don't think anything that's happening has any sort of effect on the relationship. They could care less what people are saying. I don't think they really care. So I'm not really thinking that there's any problems between the two of them because of the media attention. I don't think there's any of that at all. Lamar Jackson is 1-3 against the Chiefs. He absolutely is. But the fun part about that is that's the past. We're not focused on the past. That 1-3 record against Mahomes and the Chiefs has no effect on what's going to happen on Sunday. People tried to use the 1-3 playoff record to just assume Lamar Jackson was going to fold against the Texans. That didn't work. Bringing up the past to try and speak about the present doesn't mean anything. And the funny thing about it is I was looking at it last night. Because all you Chiefs fans really seem to want to bring up the past to try to validate or try to make some sort of assumption here about what this team is. Let's actually go take a look at each of the 4 matchups. 3 of those 4 matchups were close, by the way, and could have gone either way. But no, I mean the Chiefs never played us in the play. Yeah, they've never played us in the playoffs, but they're just talking about head to head in terms of the regular season. Since you guys want to talk about this, let me go bring up each and every year, in terms of the matchups we've seen from 2018 to 2021, since you guys feel the need to bring up the past as the past. The first game happened, Lamar's rookie year, Patrick Mahomes' first year as a starter. That was the 2018 MVP year, 50 touchdowns, over 5,000 yards. Yeah, I wanted to talk about that in terms of the regular season and the past in general. We haven't faced off against you in 2 years. Let's see. Let's take a look at the defense that was actually out there, since we want to bring up the past. Let's take a look at the defense. Who was actually out there on the defensive side in 2018 for this matchup? Jimmy Smith, Eric Weddle, C.J. Mosley, Brandon Carr, Terrell Suggs, Brandon Williams, Chuck Clark, Zadarius Smith, Matthew Judon, Anthony Averett, Anthony Levine, Patrick Wasso, Trayvon Young, Kenny Young as well. Every single person I just named is not on this team right now. But we want to bring up the past. Okay, let's go to 2019 then, since you could probably see. Obviously, guys like Marlon Humphrey and a few others were on the team for a while, but just bringing that up here since you wanted to speak on this, because I saw the NFL post the stats of what Patrick Mahomes put up against the Ravens defense since we're bringing up the past. But let's go to 2019, take a look at some of the things we see defensively here. Yeah, like I said, Kenny Young, Tony Jefferson, Patrick Owasso, Chuck Clark, Matthew Judon, Brandon Carr. Maurice Kennedy was on this team in 2019. Earl Thomas, Anthony Averett, Pernell McPhee. Freaking Justin Bethel was on this team. Okay, guys, what are we talking about? Again, every single person I just named is not on this 2023 defense. Let's go to 2020. Since we want to talk about defenses in terms of what Mahomes' numbers is put up, because we want to keep thinking about the past as if that has any effect on the present. Let's take a look at this defense again. Once again, Chuck Clark, Deshaun Elliott, who's with the Dolphins right now, was on this team. Jimmy Smith, Marcus Peters, L.J. Fort, Calais Campbell, Jihad Ward. Derek Wolfe was on this team. Anthony Averett again. Dude, freaking Chris come on. Every single person I just named is not on this Ravens defense. And if you want to go to 2021, the latest one will be 36-35. Just taking a look at the defense. Once again, just taking a look at the defense for the Ravens here. Since we want to bring up the past, let's see. Once again, Anthony Averett, Deshaun Elliott, Chris Board, Chuck Clark, Justin Houston, Calais Campbell, Pernell McPhee. We had Justin Ellis out here. Come on, man. We keep bringing up the past. We keep bringing up the past. Every single player I've named in those 4 matchups, they're not here. I think there's 4 people that you can name from some of those matchups that's on this team. Let's see. Marlon Humphrey's still on this team. Don't know if he's going to play, but Marlon Humphrey's on the team. Patrick Queen was on the team for year 1 and year 2. Patrick Queen is second team All-Pro this year, so obviously he's made the improvement. Who else was on this team? Oh, look at this. Justin Madubuike. This might have been his first or second year. Justin Madubuike's first team All-Pro this year. Brandon Stevens has been a lockdown corner this year. Geno Stone's been one of the best safeties in football. He's been very underrated. Should have been a Pro Bowler. So again, these are like 4 or 5 people you can name that's actually on the roster right now. And every person I've named is either a Pro Bowler or an All-Pro. So there's a clear difference between this year's Ravens and past matchups. And then another thing that I see Chiefs fans want to ignore is the fact that the defense Mahomes was going up against from 2018 to 2021 when he faced off against the Ravens, that was Wink Martindale's defense. Wink Martindale has a defensive style that focuses on 2 things: man coverage and blitzing. Man coverage and blitzing. That is Wink Martindale's defense. A highly intense, physical blitzing type of defense that focuses on blitzing teams to generate pressure and playing man coverage. That is not the defense we have under Mike Macdonald. Wink Martindale and Mike Macdonald play 2 different types of systems. Everybody knows you shouldn't blitz Mahomes. Wink Martindale had no other choice. The lack of talent on this team defensively literally forced him to blitz. Why? Because we couldn't generate pressure with a 3 or 4 man rush. But guess what? This defense can. Because you've got a Kyle Van Noy. Because you've got a Justin Madubuike. Because you've got a Jadeveon Clowney. Madubuike, 13 sacks on the season. Van Noy, 9 sacks. Clowney, 9.5. You can generate pressure with a 3 or 4 man rush. You can do that now. And since Macdonald doesn't play a man defense, we play a zone defense. We don't play man, we play zone. And we don't just play generic zone. We have a zone that kind of fluctuates. We have a zone, we have one of those disguising zones where we're going to disguise coverages. Adafe always back as well, so that's another one. But we've got the type of defense that looks to disguise their coverages. You don't know if we're going to blitz or we're going to just back everybody into coverage. And we've got guys we trust that can send pressure from a 3 or 4 man rush. You don't know if the safety's dropping down to blitz the quarterback or if he's just dropping back into coverage, and next thing you know, the corner from the other side that was also down is coming after you. You don't know. Wink Martindale's defense is a zone defense, not a man defense. And this defense doesn't blitz. They blitz maybe 22% of the time. Mahomes eats lunch out of zones. The problem with this, Jazzy, is this isn't a regular zone. If it was a regular zone, and I'm not saying Mahomes not going to put up numbers against our defense. I don't care what defense you throw at Patrick Mahomes is going to put up numbers. The question is that going to be points that he's putting up? He'll put up the yards, he'll get the passes, but are they going to score enough points? And yes, Mahomes does well against zones, but the problem is the Ravens zone isn't an ordinary zone. This is not everyone just trying to hype up the Ravens. This Ravens defense, they play a zone defense, but it's not a normal zone. I'm telling you right now, this is why I've said this to everybody. However you feel about it is however you feel about it. If Mahomes is able to beat this defense, nobody should ever question that man again. With the receivers he has, honestly, he beats this defense. We can have a conversation about the GOAT discussion. Will he be over Brady? Probably not. But I think he has a real case because this is going to be the toughest defense Patrick Mahomes has faced in his career. This is not a defense that just, again, there's so much that you need to understand into this for Chiefs fans. There's so much that you need to understand into this defense. There's so much that you need to understand when it comes to this defense. We need a spy for that scrambling Mahomes. We have guys that could be a spy if we needed to. We have guys that can be a spy if we needed to. Obviously, the majority of it, I already know the main focus here, which we'll talk about matchups. The main focus for Hamilton is going to be primarily on Travis Kelce. Both Patrick Queen and Roquan Smith will help out with that, but the main assignment is going to be Kyle Hamilton. That's the matchup there. For Pacheco, it's going to be a mix between Roquan Smith and Patrick Queen, mainly Roquan Smith. So if you were to put, let's just say in the situation, you get the matchup with Kyle Hamilton versus Travis Kelce. You get Roquan Smith versus Pacheco. You get either Brandon Stevens or Marlon Humphrey against Rashid Rice. If we need a spy on Mahomes in case he wants to scramble, you've got Patrick Queen for that. And if you want to switch Patrick Queen out and have Roquan Smith be the spy, you can have him as a spy. And people forget, we still got that rookie Simpson on this roster. If we could literally put Simpson out there. If we wanted to put a spy on Mahomes, we could literally put Simpson out there and say, your one job is on a 3rd and long situation. If we needed a spy, we could put Simpson in and say, listen, you got one job for us, Simpson. If Mahomes starts scrambling, go tackle him. We have the matchups. We have the bodies and the personnel to match up with anything Kansas City does. We do. We do. Shout out to Mr. Jazzy Arts with the $5 donation. Appreciate you for the love and support. But yeah, we've got the matchups through and through. That doesn't mean Baltimore is going to win, because you can have the matchups, but if Kansas City wins those matchups, it's different. We have the personnel to match up with them, but Kansas City can still go out there and win those matchups. What I'm just trying to point out to the Chiefs fans is that this defense isn't the defense you've seen. This isn't the Bills defense. This isn't the Dolphins defense. And I'm not going to take away from anything you guys have done, because, again, at the end of the day, people thought the Chiefs were just going to roll over and die. And yet they've played their best football in these last 2 games. But this defense, compared to those other defenses, it's not the same. And if the Chiefs are going to pull off this victory, you have to get the very best out of everybody on that football team for 60 minutes. Mahomes is going... Let me tell you right now, Mahomes versus McDonald's defense... This, if you're a film study guy, you're going to love this game, because this is gonna come. It's gonna come down to what happens on the field, but the first battle is gonna be in the film room, because Mahomes, he's gonna be tested. Mahomes is going to have to try to figure out what sort of disguises McDonald's cooking up. He's got to figure out where the pressure is coming from, who's actually there to blitz, and who's backing up into coverage. And he's got to know where he's going to pick his spots to throw this football. Mahomes is going to be tested in this game. And we know Mahomes is the best, so he's ready for any test we're going to throw at him. 60 minutes of football. It's going to be... If you're a fan of film study, this game is going to be an absolute beauty for you to watch. No question. Absolute beauty. Absolute beauty. But yeah, I for guys bringing up the pass, it don't really work with this team. And I don't even need to talk about what the Ravens have offensively now compared to what they had in previous years. I don't think I need to speak on that. We've seen the difference. And of course, we've seen the difference in Lamar Jackson. So we don't really need to speak on that part. In 2019, we were McPhee missed tackle away from Lamar getting the ball back and winning. It was more than that. It was the missed tackle there. C.J. Mosley somehow getting matched up with Tyreek Hill. But most importantly, Eric Weddle not knowing what the hell he's doing on defense. If Weddle knew what he was doing, that final drive, I don't know what Eric Weddle was doing there. I mean, my God. He was just out of position completely. But it is what it is with that one. It is what it is with that one, you know. You just take that however you take that. Are you believing what the national press hype is saying about this game? I don't care what the media is saying. It has no effect on what I believe this game is going to be. I think this is going to be a close game. It could be a low-scoring game. I don't necessarily care what the media is trying to say. I'm not underestimating this team at all. There's a reason why I picked them to get to the AFC title game. Everyone kept talking about Cleveland in the day. Y'all were asking me for weeks, who is the biggest threat to the Ravens? Y'all kept talking about the Browns. You kept talking about the Steelers because we've lost to them in the regular season. You kept talking about the Bills. I didn't care for none of that. I said Kansas City. Because at the end of the day, the biggest problem for Kansas City is that they're not catching the football. If they catch the football, their chances of winning games go up 95%. They just weren't catching passes. They've lost 3 games because they couldn't catch passes. They win those 3 games, they're right up there with Baltimore potential. They probably have a good shot to win the number 1 seed. And also the AFC title game is in Kansas City. So it all just comes down to these guys catching the football. But with this matchup, it's going to be more than just making catches. All right, besides the Ravens, Chiefs, and Bills, the AFC has been weak this year. I don't know if I could fully say that. the Browns have been there. The problem is injuries. Injuries decimated a lot of teams this year. Texans have been a great story. CJ Stroud has been on, so you could definitely look at that. It's been a lot of collapses, a lot of injuries that have taken away a lot of teams. Because again, with the AFC North, both Deshaun Watson and Joe Burrow went down, so that would have made things a lot better or more competitive. Potentially, both those quarterbacks could have been playing in the playoffs. We could have had a first season where all 4 teams in the AFC North made the postseason. We got the collapse of the Jaguars. They were playing great, 8-3, and just collapsed. Dolphins, they just lost everybody. It's just a lot of injuries killed a lot of teams down the stretch. The last time Baltimore hosted the AFC Championship game, Johnny Unitas was the quarterback. Yes, he was. Yes, he was. That was 1970. I want Ravens versus Lions. I want the Lions to have the postseason success they've been waiting for decades, and this feels like Lamar Jackson's time. Well, we'll have to wait and see. We'll have to wait and see. Our team has been disrespected all year long. It is what it is. I really don't care about that. Like Lamar Jackson said, we got to focus on the mission. Our goal is to get to Vegas, and we have a chance to do that on Sunday. Our goal is to get to Vegas. Chiefs never played us in the playoffs. No, we played the Chiefs in the playoffs, but that matchup was way longer. We played them in 2010. We won 30-7, but that was far too long ago. It don't really matter. So, like, this Chiefs team, we have never played the Chiefs and Mahomes in the postseason, but we've played the Chiefs before in the playoff. Though we played them before Alex Smith actually there. So it was a Chiefs team before Alex Smith and Andy Reid were actually there. It was 2010. So we have played the Chiefs in the playoffs before, but that's not really a matchup we can look at. That means nothing at this point. Excuses were that Lamar was 1-3 in the playoffs. Now that Lamar's crushed that narrative, everyone has moved on to the fact that Lamar's 1-3 against the Chiefs. The hate doesn't stop. At the end of the day, I'm not going to look at that as hate in this situation because Mahomes and the Chiefs, they're one Super Bowl win away from becoming a dynasty. I'm not looking at it. It's perfectly fine to look at the Chiefs and give them the benefit of the doubt here because they've been to 6 straight. Mahomes doesn't know what it feels like to lose in the wild card round or divisional round. So, I don't blame them if they're leaning towards that. And if they want to bring up that record, it's fine to bring up that record. The past is the past. It's not going to have any effect on this game. So it is what it is. Got to stay fast, physical, and pissed off. Absolutely love Roquan Smith's pregame speech. Yeah, man, we got to keep that same intensity and energy. Got to focus on the mission. Got to focus on the mission. True statement about the past. Lately, since the 2019-2020 playoffs, teams that beat the Bills don't fare well in the next round. That could benefit the Ravens. Then again, anything can happen. I'm not using these weird jinxes that people are trying to use and utilizing the past to try to, validate things that are going to happen in a future matchup. I don't look towards that. It means nothing. If we would have utilized the past, we would have never beat New England in 2012. When we lost the AFC title game in 2011 because of that drop pass by Lee Evans and that missed field goal kick by Billy Cundiff, someone could sit back and say they're going to go right back to the AFC title game and fall short. We lost there last year. What makes you think we're going to win the following year? I don't use the past to try to validate or try to, put some sort of agenda or some sort of marking on the present. This game is this game. Last year's game was last year's game. What's something you would say if someone brought up Patrick being 6-0 versus top-rated defenses? It goes to show the greatness in Patrick Mahomes. There's nothing else to really say about that. It goes to show the greatness of Patrick Mahomes, which is why the Ravens need to stay locked in and focused. Because Patrick Mahomes, no matter what you throw at him, no matter what you put there, Mahomes is going to get his. So you have to play your absolute A game for 60 minutes if you're going to beat this guy. So it just goes to show Mahomes, again, it's his greatness. That's why this is his generation. Wink is the most blitz-happy. Yes, he was the most blitz-happy guy. He blitzed so much to the point where it's just disgusting, man. It's just disgusting. It was just disgusting. I'm nervous and I got butterflies in my stomach, but I think the Ravens going to get it done. I got that feeling. I have no nerves or no concerns. At the end of the day, like I said, 60 minutes in the bank for a chance to go to the Super Bowl. I got no nerves, not anxious in the slightest. At the end of the day, it's about handling your business. I look at the leaders on that team. I look at Roquan Smith. I look at Lamar Jackson. Not a hint of nerves. Not a hint of hesitation. Not a hint of any concerns from these guys. So as long as I'm looking at those leaders and they're not concerned, I have no reason to be concerned myself because I know they sense the moment, they're ready for the moment, and they're going to go out there and play their best game for 60 minutes. So when I look at them and I see that they're focused and they're ready to go, it just makes me sit back and say, hey, man, I got no worries. I've got no concerns. I'm just ready for the game. So that's just where my mindset is at the end of the day. I'm just ready for the game. But of course, you know, anything can happen, and we all know that. It's football after all. It's sports. So you always want to be prepared in case things like this go down. But, you know, it is what it is at the end of the day. You know, I'm just ready to watch and see what happens, and we'll just go from there. Excuse me, I'm handling something here real quickly. Gotta handle some business here. Let me see what this is about. But yeah, either way, I don't have any concerns about this game. Like I said, I trust in my team. I trust in their abilities. It's 60 minutes of football. Let's just go play. Like, I don't think there's anything that needs to be said. Let's just go play. It's 60 minutes of football. Let's go play. We have no other thing to wait for. I'm not here to play any of those extra games and be like, oh, let's be concerned. No, I got no reason to be concerned. I got no reason to be scared. Right now, all I'm feeling is excitement and anticipation for the game. That's pretty much it. You know, we know it's going to be a tough game. You expect it. But in order to be the best, you got to beat the best. And if we want to beat the best, we've got to play our best. So it comes down to guys going out there, doing their jobs, and just handling business the way they're supposed to. If you handle business, you're going to be okay. If you don't handle business, you're going home. But yeah, like I said, I got no actual concerns. I've got no actual concerns. And that sort of mindset is what keeps me overall motivated and say, hey, we're going to be good to go. We're going to be good to go. Where's the shark? That's weird. There's no way this hits. But yeah, at the end of the day, I understand the concerns certain people are going to have. And I don't blame you for having those concerns and those worries. You're free to have said concerns and worries. But me personally, I'm fine. I'm fine, and I'm just waiting for the game. I can't even lie. I'm literally just sitting here waiting for the game. So that's kind of just what we need at this point. Just get ready for that crying to the refs when Queen or Roquan comes through with a blitz that pops him. Well, we'll see what happens. Let's see if Mahomes can scramble on Sunday. Oh, he'll have some scrambles. But it depends on how the Ravens are going to react to that. Watch Chiefs press conference. Henry brought up Mike McDonald and shook his head. Well, hey, if you got Andy Reid sitting there and shaking his head, obviously you are doing something right. It's great to see McDonald getting his flowers because he absolutely deserves it. I mean, the way this guy's been all season, shout out to Mike McDonald because he's been great. And obviously we don't want to lose him. But at the end of the day, whatever happens with the situation happens. And, you know, at this point, you kind of just wish him the best of luck. You don't want to lose him, but, you know, if we do, you just sit back and say, hey, man, go out there and be great. Go do your stuff. We're all here for you, man. But in all honesty, I'm not really trying to, like, I'm going to be very honest. I'm not trying to lose Mike McDonald. He's been far too great. I have no interest in losing Mike McDonald, but the possibility is still there. I'm absolutely hoping for that to not be the case. But, man, it's possible, man. It's very possible we could lose him. It'd be nice if we didn't, though, you know. Kind of hoping we don't. But who knows what's going to happen. It's going to be one of those type of games. Anyway, back to the comments here. One key factor for the AFC title game is how effective Pacheco is. If they contain him, Chiefs' run game is shut down. Hardman could get targeted and forced to give up a fumble. We got lucky last week. It becomes a lot of things, man. It becomes a lot of things. Let's actually get into some of these matchups. Hey, bro, I wish I could hang out with you just once. I love you so much. Please, Hey. I appreciate the love and support. That last statement right there. Hey, man, appreciate the love and support. Wouldn't mind hanging out with some of y'all, but let's take it down a little bit much. That last 3 words, let's take it down a little bit more. But I appreciate the love and support. It's all good, though. It's all good. But can Mahomes take a physical tackle or a hit from our physical defense? I don't think he's gonna just break into half. I don't think he's gonna break in half or break into pieces if he takes a shot from Roquan Smith. Mahomes will be fine. But if you can continue to get hits on him, that's gonna start to wear him down, and that helps you out. Chiefs been acting like they can't get got. Well, they're this new era's Patriots, so that's the mindset at this point. It's crazy how oblivious they are to seeing how good the Ravens really are. They're this era's Patriots, and Patriots fans acted exactly like that. If that one ref starts making questionable calls, it's not going to go well for him. We'll see what happens. At the end of the day, if you don't make the game close, you never got to worry about the refs. And if the Ravens dominate, they don't got to worry about the refs. I have a feeling we punched him in the jaw. Chiefs are riding too high. Well, we hope. Humphrey will for sure have a bigger test in protecting Mahomes against... Oh, Humphreys. Yeah, he definitely will. He definitely will. We'll have a bigger test of protecting Mahomes against Baltimore's defense. Difficult level is higher. Yeah, their tackles haven't been great this year, and I think one of their guards is not going to play. So that's going to be a tougher assignment for everybody on the offensive line. That's going to be a tougher assignment for everyone on the offensive line. I feel like the second half game plan against the Texans of short passes and running the ball is something to look for. I don't think we should try to take shots this week. It all depends on what type of mindset the offense decides to come out with. If they're just looking to slowly go down the field, they will. If they want to start by establishing the run immediately, they'll look to it. If they want to take shots early on, they will. But at the end of the day, we know they're going to make adjustments. But I hope they do start by just running the football and trying to establish that early on. You proved me wrong last week, man. Got to remember these games are 60 minutes and momentum shifts. Exactly. It's 60 minutes. It's a football game. It's a 60-minute football game. Things are going to constantly change. What were you thinking at halftime of the Texans game? We got to come out and play our game in the second half. I was here live streaming. I saw so many people panicking in the chat during the live stream on Saturday. And I kept telling everybody, guys, calm down. It's a 10-10 game. We get the ball coming out of half. The first half wasn't pretty, but at the same time, it's up to them making adjustments. I said everybody going into that locker room, they got to get a clear focus, especially offensively. It's going to come down to Lamar Jackson and Todd Monken making the proper adjustments and switching things up. I had no panic. I sat back and said, at the end of the day, if the Ravens play their game, they're going to win the football game. So everybody that was losing their mind in the chat, I told them to calm down and let's see if this team is going to make adjustments. If they fail to make adjustments, it's just like 2019. But I believe this team's different. They're going to make adjustments, and they made adjustments. So, at the end of the day, I was perfectly fine with that. Likely should start, and they should rotate Andrews in. That's probably going to be what they do. I don't think they're going to just have Andrews come back, and immediately they're going to plug him in and say, all right, you're the starter. No, Likely's probably going to get the start, and they're going to rotate Andrews in. Man, I'm coming to you right after the game, win or loss. Well, I'll probably be live streaming here, so if you got time, Jacoby, feel free to pop up on the live stream on Sunday. I'm excited about this matchup. Locked in, go Ravens. I have cousins that's half Chiefs and half Ravens fans. This will be interesting to watch. Oh, that should be an interesting conversation with the family. The way the Bills ran the ball on them, our run game is going to feast. Well, that's the belief. But Kansas City understands that they can't let Baltimore run on them the way they let Buffalo do. So their focus is going to be trying to stop the run game. So that's where their assignment's going to be. So that defensive line has to be ferocious for the Chiefs coming out. Because if they let the Ravens get comfortable and get their run game going, it's over. And they know that. They don't want to be put in that position. I'm locked in for the game. Yeah, at this point, I'm just waiting for it. I'm ready for it as well. Make John step down if we win it all. He's not going anywhere. Only 2 head coaching jobs left, Seahawks and Commanders. I believe Monken and McDonald staying. That is true, because Bill Belichick and Mike Vrabel are still out there, so we'll see what happens. Secondary is too good for 3 pass catchers. Hey, at the end of the day, guys got to do that. Thuney, you're right. I think that's the name of the guy that's out for them, who's one of their guards. He might be their left guard or something. So either way, they're gonna be a little bit depleted. Because they're not as bad as Super Bowl, but they're going to be missing a guy on that offensive line, and we'll just see what happens there. If we keep Travis Kelce under 80 yards receiving, we win. I don't think that's the only thing you need to do. I'll get into that in a second. If Thuney doesn't play, Madubuike and Pierce must feast. We'll see. Andrews to come back in on third down. Don't want him run blocking. You could always try to put him on goal line situations. At the end of the day, if Andrews is coming back this week, you give him limited snaps, and you see what works for him. I was glad to see that only 2 head coaching jobs left. Hopefully both filled tomorrow by other 2 coaches, not Monken and McDonald. We'll see. We'll see. Hamilton versus Hamilton versus Travis Kelce is going to be fun. Do Chiefs fans think the Ravens are overhyped? Probably, because they just hear us talk about how this defense is number 1 and stuff, and they sit back and saying, well, look at our defense. We're number 2. But everyone seems to be giving credit because they beat the Tech. Yeah, they absolutely think we're overhyped. Hamilton will shut down Kelce. That should be his only assignment. We'll see. Who's the biggest X factor? Lamar Jackson. It's as simple as that. The biggest X factor is Lamar Jackson. Number 1 X factor, Lamar Jackson. Number 2 X factor, Patrick Mahomes. Because at the end of the day, the Chiefs' defense can do everything perfect. Let's get into these matchups and what I mean by why Lamar Jackson is the biggest X factor. So let's start with the Ravens offense versus the Chiefs defense to explain exactly why Lamar is the biggest X factor. So, non-quarterback X factor. For the Ravens, Kyle Hamilton. Because his assignment's going to mostly be on Travis Kelce. I would have to sit back and say Kyle Hamilton, because he has to be the one to, if this dude goes off, it's going to be a tougher game. If Hamilton does not put up his best performance against Travis Kelce, it's going to be a tough game. I'm saying Hamilton's the X factor because depending on how Travis Kelce performs, we could see a game that's very close and potentially could be a win for the Chiefs, or a game that just goes downhill because your best weapon can't get anything going. And then for the Chiefs, the biggest X factor, in all honesty, non-quarterback wise, I would say Pacheco. Because if they can't run the ball, it's going to become very difficult. Pacheco, his running ability is it means so much for this Chiefs offense. If Pacheco's not able to run the ball the way he's been able to run the ball so far this season, it's going to be a problem. It's going to be, if they have no run game and they're forced to pass, and Baltimore can get comfortable in that situation, they're in trouble. They're in trouble. So yeah, Ravens offense versus the Chiefs defense. So obviously, they've got guys on the defense. This Chiefs defense, honestly, has been the number 2 defense just in terms of overall performance of the season. Ravens would probably be the number 1 defense. Sorry, Browns. You were right there with Baltimore, but the injuries took you away. If you guys would have stayed healthy, you probably end up with the title of the number 1 defense, or you're probably seen more as the number 1 defense. But due to the injuries, you fell off. You were right there with Baltimore. At some cases, maybe you surpassed them, but you're right. You can't have that title right now. So Ravens are the number 1 defense, but the Chiefs are the number 2 defense. Because the Ravens definitely led the league in sacks, but guess who was number 2? The Chiefs. The Ravens haven't given up a single 30-point performance all season. Neither has the Chiefs defense. This Chiefs defense isn't as great as the Ravens defense, but is damn near close because of how they've been able to perform. Now, at the end of the day, people are going to bring in X factors such as, well, the Ravens had a tougher schedule. They played against better competition and dominated, whereas the Chiefs' schedule wasn't as nearly as tough, and they played against somewhat lesser competition and was struggling to win. I got you on that. But we're just going off of what we see here. So the Ravens offense versus the Chiefs defense. Obviously, Snead is going to be on Zay Flowers no matter what happens. Snead is going to be on Zay Flowers no matter what happens. And Chris Jones is going to look to get to Lamar Jackson. So they've got pieces. That secondary for Kansas City has done a damn good job holding up all season. They've been great. Snead just gave up his first touchdown last week to Shakir, which was a hell of a play right there. But Snead's been a lockdown corner. And McDuffie's been doing a fantastic job too. So those 2 guys are going to be looking to get Zay Flowers out the game, and probably Odell, Bateman, one of those 2. So they're going to be looking to, it's probably going to be Zay and Odell that they're going to look to take out the game. So you got those guys that's going to look to try to take them out the game, especially when we match up and we do man-to-man at times, or when they're doing man-to-man coverage. So those guys are going to look to do so. But here's the thing. Here's the thing that you got to look at here. With Isaiah Likely, especially depending on the Mark Andrews situation. So you look at the weapons for the Ravens. Zay Flowers, of course. OBJ, Rashad Bateman, Nelson Aguilar, and then you look at Isaiah Likely. So those are the 5 main weapons to utilize here right now. We already know Sneed McDuffie's going to be on Zay and Odell. The safeties, for the most part, are going to be looking for Bateman and Aguilar, which, again, because you've got your 2 corners on those guys, there's going to be some focus. There's going to be some lack of focus on either Nelly or Bateman. And let's not forget, their safeties are going to be focused in on Isaiah Likely. Because Isaiah Likely's matched up well against safeties. He's been killing them one-on-one. He's been doing his thing. So that ends up becoming a matchup there. Kansas City's going to have to worry about Flowers. They're going to have to worry about Odell. They have to worry about Likely. That's going to leave opportunities for Aguilar and Bateman. I think the Chiefs are perfectly fine with dealing with that situation. I think they're perfectly fine if it comes down to Rashad Bateman or Nelson Aguilar to really deal with that aspect. However, things automatically change if Mark Andrews is good to go. I don't know how Mark Andrews will look coming off of his injury. But if Mark Andrews is able to play, that's another element you've got to deal with. And if Mark Andrews looks like the Mark Andrews that we saw performing before the injury, that becomes a huge issue for them. Because you already know Sneed and McDuffie, they got to focus on Flowers and Odell. You already know the safety is going to be looking to focus on Isaiah Likely. They're fine with Bateman and Aguilar having a couple catches here on a few matchups here. But if Mark Andrews gets added to that equation, you've got 2 tight end sets. Now, Mark Andrews, we know what he was before the injury. I don't know if he's going to be able to play like that, but we know what he was before the injury. That's an all-pro tight end. He's one of the 3 best tight ends in football. You have to put a body on Mark Andrews. So now you got both Mark Andrews and Isaiah Likely out there. Both guys that are winning one-on-one matchups. Both guys that you got to put attention to. That becomes a lot. So now you got to add a body on Mark Andrews and a body on Likely. You've already got your 2 top corners that's going to be focused on Flowers and Odell. Nelly and Bateman could end up being open. But we can't forget about this too, because we do use guys out the backfield. You got Dalvin Cook for a reason. You can run Dalvin Cook on some screens. You can run Justice Hill with some screens. And at the end of the day, even with those guys on the field, with that level of pressure on coverage, you could still run the ball with Gus Edwards. You could still run the ball with Justice Hill, and you can still run the ball with Dalvin Cook. That's where Chris Jones and the rest of that defensive line has to be focused in. They got to be focused in to make sure they stop any run from those guys. And even in the backfield, when it comes to these backs catching passes on screens, guys got to be alert. So I'll throw you an olive branch because, again, the advantage offensively goes to the Ravens. Offensively. Especially if Mark Andrews is out there. Because there's only so many matchups you're going to have. But I'll throw an olive branch to the Chiefs' defense. There's a good chance they can match up with every single thing I said here. They can match up with our receivers. They can match up with Flowers. They can match up with Odell. They will have their safeties to match up with both Zay and with both Likely and Andrews. And then they could also be ready for any passes coming out of the backfield to a Dalvin Cook or a Justice Hill. Let's say they're ready for all of that. If you're ready for all of that, guess what? There's only so many bodies you can have out there. Lamar Jackson takes off. And that is where the X factor comes in. You can have everybody covered. You can have all the receivers, the tight ends, and our backs covered. All you're going to do is give Lamar Jackson an opportunity to utilize those wheels, take off, and gain huge yardage this year. So that's where the X factor comes in. If somehow the defense is able to cover all these guys, which they won't be able to do for an entire game, but if somehow they're able to cover all these guys, Lamar Jackson is still going to be there because there's only so many bodies you can have. If you've got your corners focused on Zay and Odell, you got your safeties focused on Likely and Andrews, you've got your linebackers focusing on Cook or Justice Hill, you don't have bodies at that point. So Lamar Jackson is going to have space. And we saw when the Texans tried to take everything away and nothing was open, the middle of the field was wide open. The middle of the field was wide open. And Lamar Jackson was able to take off. So that's where I say Lamar Jackson is the X factor. And that's where you see the advantage come for the Ravens. But that doesn't mean the Chiefs don't have the capability to get to Lamar there. Because at the end of the day, let's not forget, this is a team that was second in sacks. They're able to generate pressure. And there's going to be times where they could generate pressure with a 3 or 4-man rush. They could run quarterback spies. Do they have, and they can't do that with their linebackers. You would need a DB for that. Their linebackers are not fast enough to keep up with Lamar Jackson. They would have to use one of their DBs. And if Mark Andrews and Likely's out there together, as well as Flowers and Odell, what are you going to do in that situation? At some point, it comes up to a matchup. They could try to run a QB spy, but we all know you need an athletic guy to be able to go catch Lamar, because they can run the quarterback spy one-on-one. It doesn't matter. We saw one of the best linebackers in football, and Fred Warner, try to go match up with Lamar one-on-one. What happened? Lamar made him look silly. You're going to have an athletic guy. The Chiefs do have somebody out there that can definitely help out. They've got DBs that have the speed to keep up with Lamar if they were to use a quarterback spy. Maybe like Snead, but here's the thing, Max. Snead's going to be focused on Zay. He can't focus on Zay and also be the guy. Because at this point, this is where we talk about the difference between Lamar in previous years and this year's Lamar. If you send a spy, you send Snead to spy, Zay's going to be open. And Lamar, even if someone else is on Zay, Snead's the best guy to try to lock up Flowers. Snead is their best guy to try to lock up Flowers. Flowers has been beating everybody one-on-one. So if at that point they try to send the quarterback a spy and they use Snead as the spy, I don't know if they have a corner that can deal with them. And if you want to say McDuffie, well, who's going to guard Odell at this point? So at some point, these bodies start to pick up. This isn't to say that their defense can't make a stop. I absolutely believe the Chiefs' defense will be able to make some stops because they could end up matching up with everybody, and then they still can get to Lamar with a 3 or 4-man rush. And if they're able to do that, that's where you can get a formula that can work for you. Is it going to be easy? No. But it's possible. So I think the biggest thing for the Chiefs defense has to be their front seven. They have to generate pressure. They have to out-physical our offensive line because they're going to be sending 3 and 4-man rushes. If they can send a 4-man rush, have everyone back into coverage and cover those guys, then they've got a shot to try to stop Lamar. There's a lot here. I absolutely believe the Chiefs do have ways that they could try to get to Lamar Jackson here. Is it going to be easy? No, but they do have ways. But there's only so many bodies you can have out there in terms of matchups. And with Lamar being that X factor that can utilize his wheels, it can be problematic. If they couldn't stop Josh Allen last week from taking off. Remember this, they could not stop Josh Allen from taking off. They could not stop Josh Allen from taking off. If they can't stop Josh Allen from taking off, how are they going to stop Lamar from taking off? That's where it becomes an issue. So matchup-wise, the Ravens offense, especially if they get Andrews back, matches up well. But that doesn't mean the Chiefs defense can't get to Lamar. The Chiefs defense can absolutely get to Lamar. Because there were times in the fourth quarter they got to Josh Allen. He wasn't always taking off. At times in the fourth quarter, they got to Josh Allen, put him pressure, locked him in, and then he was forced to throw the football. And those guys couldn't make the plays. He started taking shots down the field. Couldn't make the plays. Diggs dropped some passes. So the Chiefs defense does have the ability to make stops. Because I don't think it's going to be a situation where the Baltimore Ravens offense gets the ball every single possession and they go score a touchdown. If that happens against this defense, I don't care. Niners, Lions, there's nothing you're going to have here. The Lions secondary is not good enough, bro, which is why people think the Niners should blow them out. And we know the Niners defense has the bodies to keep up. But that X factor known as Lamar Jackson puts a whole new aspect into this. And that's a difficult process to deal with because you know he can win one-on-one matchups and you know he can break out the pocket. So it becomes a whole aspect there. Matchup-wise, offensively, the edge goes to the Ravens. But that does not mean the Chiefs defense doesn't have ways to get to Lamar and get him down on the ground. They absolutely have ways. The biggest key for the Chiefs defense, everybody needs to be disciplined. Everyone needs to be disciplined. Everybody needs to everyone needs to be disciplined. Everybody needs to cover their guy. They have to bully the Ravens offensive line because they're not going to be able to blitz Lamar. Especially not this year. This is the one year where you can sit back and say, Lamar has gotten improved so much over the last few years. The blitz doesn't work against him. It doesn't. He's able to read the blitz like that and know exactly where to go with the football. The blitz doesn't work on Lamar anymore. And the Chiefs defense is not even going to attempt to try to blitz him as much as they saw the Texans attempt to do. Because they know at some point he's going to utilize his legs. And they don't want to give him that much space. And at some point he's just going to break out the pocket and make plays. And the Ravens do know how to make the adjustment because the Texans kept blitzing in the second half. And the Ravens just kept taking the underneath. They didn't start taking shots down the field. So it becomes problematic for the Chiefs. But their defense is going to have moments where they can get to him without blitzing. It all comes down to that front four putting the pressure on the Ravens offensive line. If those guys can beat our O-line, they can get to Lamar without having the blitz. And the Chiefs front four, they've been able to do so. There's been times where they've been able to generate pressure with their front four without having the blitz. If they can do that in this game with Lamar, Chiefs can get them down. So that's the aspect that matters. If they can cover everything up and now they get to Lamar with a four-man rush, that makes the game difficult. Do you think the weather will be a factor for either team? No, it's expected that, first of all, the snow's gone in Baltimore. The rain's come up. The snow's gone in Baltimore. So, I'm not in Baltimore, but just in Maryland in general. The snow is gone from Maryland in general. So, the rain's kind of taking that out. It got a little bit warmer. Sunday, it's supposed to be a little rainy. I think they said 40% chance of raining, but it's not expected to be a huge amount of rain. Now, if it's pouring out there, it will affect the game. But if it's just small drizzle, a little bit of rain here, it's not going to affect the game. If they use more DBs than use Ricard as a lead blocker on Hill, screen pass, it'll eat those DBs up. They could definitely look to try to do that. I feel like they're going to try to run a lot of zone. Zone coverage don't work well against Lamar Jackson. If you're going to give him time to throw, you're just asking to get beat. Willie Gay's the spy. Is he going to play? And Willie Gay's not the spy you really want to have here, bro. I'm not sure that's the quarterback spy you want to have on Lamar Jackson. But honestly, I don't think there's anyone else you can afford to put in that situation. Let's just hope, if you're a Chiefs fan, you got to hope he does a great job on the assignment. You better hope he's not forced to have to deal with Lamar one-on-one. He'll try to do his very best, but it's going to be difficult. It's going to be very difficult. Yeah, he's not tackling an open field, though. One-on-one against Lamar, that's going to be very problematic. Many opportunities for us here. We have to go out and perform. That's the goal and that's the mission, and I'm pretty sure that's what they're going to do. Honestly, the only thing we have to worry about this game and watch out for is how good our O-line does. Yeah, the offensive line pretty much controls how everything's going to go here. If the offensive line is able to perform the way they performed in the second half of this game and they can keep Lamar clean, the Chiefs are in serious trouble. No one can tackle Lamar in open field, but they can gang up on him. If you're talking about trying to blitz Lamar, it's not really going to work this year. You got to watch out for everything. We don't beat the Chiefs in every category. Absolutely. We don't beat the Chiefs in every category. Absolutely. I think if you look at if you look at their offense versus our defense, you'll see the Travis Kelce matchup between him and Cal Hamilton is going to be great. But at the end of the day, Travis Kelce, the thing that makes the Chiefs so difficult and what makes Andy Reid so great is he's constantly moving the pieces around. When you're dealing with Travis Kelce, he doesn't stick to one place. Andy Reid moves him all around the field. And with McDonald's defense, we don't exactly look to move our guys all around the field. I said Kyle Hamilton's going to be the main assignment on Travis Kelce, but that doesn't mean every single play when you see Travis Kelce motioning and move, it doesn't mean every single play he's going to be that guy. I can guarantee you right now, there's going to be times where you see Marcus Williams on Travis Kelce, whether you like it or not. That's a matchup Travis Kelce can win absolutely. They move around Travis Kelce. At times, they move around Rashid Rice. They like to run trick plays here, where they'll hand the ball off to Pacheco. He'll fake the toss and then take it himself. They like running these crazy trick plays. They have that advantage, and it's been very effective for them. If we're not careful, that can catch our defense off guard. So they definitely have opportunities and aspects and matchups that they could take very good advantage of. We just have to be prepared. We need Kyle Hamilton on the run game and the blitz. That's where you're gonna have to rely on Roquan Smith and Patrick Queen. Now Kyle Hamilton will definitely participate in that one, obviously, because he's been sniffing out screens in these quick pass games, and he's also been getting early on to the back. But that's where Roquan Smith and Patrick Queen are gonna do most of their damage, the run game. That's Roquan Smith's specific assignment is Pacheco. Patrick Queen's gonna help out with that aspect. But Patrick Queen is actually the outlier here because he's going to help out with both. Roquan deals with Pacheco, Hamilton's really going to focus on Kelsey, and Patrick Queen has to be the one to make the adjustments to help out with both those sides. So he's the one in the middle that's going to help out with that factor. Dooney and Nandi both have missed 2 days of practice, both big parts of the middle on both sides. I don't know, I think they said Dooney is supposed to miss, but Nandi's probably going to be fine. Same thing for Pacheco. He's missed time, but he's going to play. They're just resting him to make sure. Josh should have taken off on 4th and 7. Oh, well, we'll take the Chiefs. It is what it is. I'm not worried about that. That's their problem. Chiefs defense only give up an average of 7 points in the second half. That is definitely a good point here. That's definitely a good point. I mean, I don't need to bring up the averages for what the Ravens put up in the second half. I think we've seen that they're a better second half team than first half team. We don't need to speak about that. I also don't need to bring up what the Ravens defense averages in the second half because they're not a team that gives up a lot of points. In fact, their last 5 games, they haven't given up over 20 points at all. Just going to look at it, let's see. I don't really actually... No, that's not what I'm looking for. Now, let me go here. I actually want to see how often the Ravens defense was actually giving up points. Early on, they were giving up garbage time points in the fourth quarter to teams that they were blowing out. But honestly, they don't really give up a lot of points in the second half either. Let's see. Let's start off with week 1. They gave up 3 points in the second half to the Texans in week 1. So, yeah, that was week 1. To the Bengals, they gave up 14. It's definitely huge because they gave up 2 touchdowns. They're 14 in the second half to the Bengals. Then, well, I'm all the way down here. Colts, they gave up 9 points to them in the fourth quarter, and then they gave up that field goal in OT. Should have never got to OT in that game. This is early on within the defense trying to find itself. Honestly, week 4 they gave up like 0 points in that game against the Cleveland Browns. Week 5 against the Steelers, I believe they gave up 7. No, they gave up 14 because I think that was the fourth quarter where things got crazy. Yeah, the fourth quarter, I think early on in the season, the fourth quarter for the Ravens defense wasn't great. I think that was the only issue I had with the Ravens defense early on. In the fourth quarter, they gave up too many points. They gave us 6 points in the fourth quarter to the Lions, even though they were dominating them for 3 quarters. So yeah, honestly, if we're talking about the last few games, like since they came back from their bye week, the Rams games where they gave up a whole bunch of points. But with the Jaguars, they gave up 0 points in the second half here from the Jaguars. To the Niners, they gave up 7 points to the Niners on a garbage time touchdown. Then the Dolphins, they gave up 6 points in the second half. And then with the Texans, they only gave up 0 points in the second half, but 3 points in the game. The last 5 games, they've given up. The defense has held teams to under 20, so that definitely is a factor there. But honestly, both defenses, I think it's going to be a low-scoring game. I think both defenses are going to show up and do what they need to do. So that's really where I look at that aspect. Nandi's unlikely to play. I trust Zeitler and Linderbaum doubling Jones. I have faith that Morgan Moses can block. We'll see. Hamilton might not even trail him. He's not going to. Our defense is good enough to bracket him. They're not. McDonald doesn't have our guys trail certain players. It's not really going to do well. Queen wouldn't match well. He's not really the one that's doing the overall matchup. He's kind of the one that's going to be the roamer. So he's a roamer. He's not really the matchup guy. He's more of the roller. Queen, Roquan, and Pierce can decimate that offensive line. We'll see. We'll see. Don't forget, Casey likes to run and throwbacks to trailing wide receivers. Oh, I was speaking about that too, the trick plays. Couple turnovers from our defense will be key. Yeah, they got to get some turnovers. They absolutely got to get some turnovers. Pacheco missing time don't mean anything. They're purposely keeping him out because he's dealing with a toe injury. He himself already confirmed he's playing in that game. They just want to make sure he's healthy. That toe injury could linger, and they want to make sure he's 100%. So he's purposely out of practice. They took him out of practice to prepare him to make sure he's healthy enough to play in that game. Yeah, watch out. Teams love to switch it up in the playoffs. For example, the Ravens have run Lamar more in the playoffs than in the regular season. That was previous years. In the Texas game, they didn't really look to do so. Lamar's runs were really on scrambles. What went wrong in the Rams game seems like the only outlier. They were coming off of their bye week. Stafford was on a heater, and they were coming off their bye week. We all sat back and said, hey, man, that defense was coming off a bye week. You already knew Stafford was as hot as he could possibly be that time when he faced our defense, and coming off a bye week. Here's what it is. I feel like the Ravens offense will start getting corrupted with winning and think they're better. This is not that team, dude. To make that a type of assumption is crazy. This is not that team. 2019, fine. But this team is not the type of team that's going to think highly of themselves because they're winning a football game against Patrick Mahomes when he's pulled off comeback after comeback after comeback. This is not that type of team, bro. Maybe in 2019 you could have got away with that. But this Ravens squad, they're not about to just sit back and be like, oh, we're leading by 15 in the fourth quarter against Mahomes. Let's take our foot off the gas. In the playoffs, no. There's no way Lamar and Roquan are going to sit back and let that happen. In previous years, fine. This team? No. If they find themselves with a double-digit lead in the fourth quarter, they're not about to get laxed with Mahomes. That would be the dumbest thing they could do, and they're not going to do that. I don't even think it's going to be a situation where we're up double digits, but if we are, they're closing the game out. They're not about to just sit back and let this man have an opportunity to get back into it because they don't want to have to play that type of game with Mahomes. Our ability to force penalties on defense is going to be key. Yeah, our ability to force penalties from our extra teammate, i.e. us, because we do factor in the game. We need our fans to be loud. We need our fans to be loud. Edge has to come strong. I'd rather Mahomes take off outside than up the middle. Definitely got to look to... Well, I wouldn't worry about Van Noy and Clowney on those cases because they're going to be very good. Am I going to the game? Probably not, but again, we'll see what happens. I still got time till Sunday, but chances are I'm probably not going to go. I don't know. I saw a few more Lamar-based runs, faked adjusters. They worked well. They're going to mix it up. They're going to mix it up. They're going to mix it up. They used some run plays here, but a lot of the yards he got really was the scrambles. But they did use some of the fakes, like the fourth down fake handoff, rolling Lamar to the opposite side. It got them the first down, the fourth down, and he did that again to get the touchdown to seal the game. Where do the Ravens and Chiefs rank in missed tackles? I think they're among the least in the league. Let me look at this. Let's see. Let's see. I don't know if I can find this. Yeah, I don't even know where I would find that stat, but either way, you might be correct on that one, but I'm not fully sure. Yeah, I'm not specifically sure, but yeah, I would assume they're probably on the lower side of that because they don't really miss tackles. Neither side really miss tackles. Oh, tickets are expensive. They're at least at the minimum. I saw some at 600 in the minimum. But yeah, that pretty much, from an offensive standpoint here, Ravens do have a competitive edge, but that doesn't mean the Chiefs defense won't be able to make stops. I expect them to make stops. Depending on how we come out early on in the game, defense could look to pounce. Ravens have 729 tackles and Chiefs with 715. Yeah, so they're probably amongst the top in terms of total tackles. They don't really miss tackles like that. Okay, they don't miss tackles like that. Either way, that's the matchup here. Ravens do have the edge when it comes to the matchup versus the Chiefs defense, but the Chiefs are right there, and honestly, they have a game plan that they're going to look to run. And if they're able to run that type of game plan, if they're able to cover our receivers and get to Lamar with a four-man rush without him breaking out of the pocket and scrambling, they got a great chance to slow us down. And it comes down to that. It comes down to that. They're not going to look to highly blitz because it's not going to work against Lamar. But if they can get pressure with a four-man rush and cover everybody, they back up 7 into coverage and they cover everybody and they're able to get pressure on Lamar with a four-man rush, that's the Chiefs formula right there. Which they could do. We'll have to see. Do you think the crowd noise only affected Houston because of their inexperience? And can it make an impact on KC? Inexperience is definitely one of the aspects you can bring into that because there are just some penalties that you just can't have. But some of those penalties were happening by the veterans instead of the younger guys. So, you know, the crowd noise is effect. Then again, the crowd noise has been in effect throughout the season. It's caused a lot of penalties. Now, can it make an impact on Kansas City? I think it can make an impact on Kansas City, but I don't expect it to be a big impact. It's not going to have a huge impact against a disciplined team like the Chiefs. Can it make an impact? Possibly. But a huge impact? Not necessarily. Though, I wouldn't say the fans are going to not... I don't think the fans are going to just not do it. They're going to try. It's not going to stop them from trying. They're absolutely going to try. Tons had a false start. So, yeah, a lot of guys had false starts. I don't think the level of penalties you saw in that game will happen with the Chiefs offense. No way. Or the Chiefs defense. But there will be some penalties. We know it. We know it. And some of that could be a false start or a delay a game. But... you know, it won't be too much for the Chiefs. They'll be able to overcome that. They'll be fine. Now, we look at the opposite way of the situation. Oh, off topic, but how much of an impact do you think Terry Rozier makes for the Heat? That adds another aspect, another guy. Well, you got a point guard that's going to be a scorer for you that can go get you buckets. So that definitely helps the Miami Heat. But it's going to take time for them to adjust because right now Miami's not playing great basketball. They've got to figure out this defensive issue because they're not playing well defensively. They're not scoring enough points offensively. And right now, they all just look like a jumbled mess. We're also missing Jaime. They got blown out tonight by the Celtics, so that's not a good look. But, yeah, Miami just has to take time. The Heat, not the Ravens, wow. The Heat always use the regular season to try to work out the kinks and figure out what they need to do. So first thing Miami's got to do is stay healthy. Second thing they have to do is find their defense. And third thing they have to do is get into some sort of rhythm offensively. Either way, I don't have any issues with Miami until like April. Once playoff time comes up, we'll see. Obviously, Jimmy Butler starts turning it up a notch come post All-Star game, so we'll see what happens. As we get to March and then eventually April, I expect the Miami Heat to start getting it together even more. But we'll just have to wait and see. Right now, I'm on a 5-game losing streak because we lost to the Celtics tonight, but they're going to figure things out. Good teams figure these things out, and I expect them to. And yeah, I saw the Vince news. I'm not talking about that here, though. Is M&T underrated as far as hostile environments and toughest places to play? Yeah, but that's due to us not really having a lot of postseason success post-Super Bowl. Like I said, we lost our reputation, and we're trying to gain it back. So, hopefully we can. I like Lamar because he likes Trump, I guess. You know, a lot of people keep using the trust Trump as if that's him advocating for Trump, when that's not the case, and everybody knows it. But they just keep using trust Trump. Like Lamar's sitting back and saying, "Oh yeah, I trust Trump." Y'all know what it's about. Like let's be honest. Y'all know what it's about. Y'all know what it's about. Lamar uses that same topic for that same phrase for everything, and you know what it's about. So, not to mention the comments that he said trust Trump on was in response to a compliment that Trump gave to Lamar. But I guess we like to push agendas. Agendas always happen in politics, just like everything else. So it is what it is. But it really don't matter. But I'm not here to talk politics. I don't care for politics. Anyway, let's look at the opposite side here. What is your favorite Ravens playoff game, not including the Super Bowl? Mile High Miracle. Ravens, Broncos, 2012. But let's look at the opposite matchup here. The Ravens defense versus the Chiefs offense. How do they match up? I think this is the biggest matchup of the game. Out of everything here, the biggest matchup is going to be Patrick Mahomes versus Mike McDonald's defense. You take a look at the weapons that you got to deal with here. The main concerns when you're looking at the Chiefs offense. The main concern when you look at the Chiefs offense. You got Pacheco running the ball with a little bit of Clyde Edwards-Helaire, which again, do not forget him. We want to stop the running game in totality. Edwards-Helaire can still run the ball well. Edwards-Helaire can still run the ball well. Let's not completely forget about him. Pacheco's the main guy, but it's really just stopping the run game in general. So you look at Pacheco and then as well as Edwards-Helaire that you do have to worry about. Then you look at Travis Kelce. Well, Travis Kelce is number one that you look at. So Travis Kelce is number one. And then you look at Pacheco at number two because that's your running game / Edwards-Helaire. And then you got to look at Rashid Rice. These are your three main focuses because these guys show up, play well, and are consistently balling out. Throughout the season, they've been consistently balling out. These are the three weapons you've got to focus on. Well, at least four in this case. Pacheco, Edwards-Helaire, Kelce, and Rashid Rice. Now, that does not mean just because you focus on them, these other guys can't make plays. Because that's not the case. Okay? You could still look at Valdez-Scantling, who could try to make some plays. Gray occasionally makes some catches, too. They've got guys here that can make plays. They're not going to make a lot of plays, but they just need to make the plays that go to them. Did I just hear something? What the what? Let me not be superstitious here. Making me think I'm hearing something. Now we good. I don't know what that was. But, yeah. Do not forget, obviously they got McCole Hardman, but I don't expect them to use him as much. He hasn't been utilized much since he's been there. And we all know he fumbled the ball last week, so we'll see how much he's going to be utilized there. But, yeah, Valdez-Scantling is another underrated weapon to utilize here, especially if he feels like he's going to catch the ball today. If he's not going to catch anything, it is what it is. But you do have to worry about Valdez-Scantling in this kind of fashion, because if he ends up making some of those big time catches, it does a lot. It does a lot for you. It does a lot for you. If he can make those big time catches, it's gonna do a lot. It's gonna do a lot. So, you obviously have to worry about somebody like a Valdez-Scantling if he's gonna make the catches. Because, he made two big catches. No one really talks about it, but he made two huge catches in that Bills game, and both of them were for big plays. So you absolutely have to look out for some of these guys here. But it's really Pacheco, Edwards-Helaire, Travis Kelce, Rashid Rice. But you do got to look out for Valdez-Scantling. You've got to look out for Gray. Occasionally they do get him a look. And other than that, maybe Watson if he can make a play or two, but really the four guys. But Kelce, Pacheco, Edwards-Helaire, and Rashid Rice. You're able to stop those four guys, you're probably going to win this game. If the Ravens win, then whoever wins the NFC will just be a regular season rematch. Yeah, we beat both the Lions and the Niners, so it'll just be a rematch. Raiders straight up stomped the Chiefs on Christmas Day. We broke my homie. If you broke him, he wouldn't be in the AFC title game. So, I don't know why you keep just saying that. Congrats on your win, though. But you didn't break anybody. If you broke him, he wouldn't be in the title game. He would be at home right now. But obviously, he's not at home. So, you know, I don't know. You beat him. Congrats. I hope, now that you know who's going to be your head coach for the future, your Pierce is staying there. That's cool. Just focus on building up the team and go get yourself a quarterback, I guess. But just about to say you broke him? No, you beat him. Congrats. But you didn't break him. If you broke him, he wouldn't be in the title game. Nothing's literally changed with this Chiefs team. They're right where they wanted to be. And if they win this week, they'll be right back in the Super Bowl. So, no, you didn't break anything. So I'm not exactly sure what you're talking about. On paper, do you think the Chiefs have any passing threats besides Kelsey? Rashid Rice. He's been that number 2 receiver. He's been the number 1 receiver and the number 2 weapon for Mahomes. Travis Kelsey's obviously Patrick Mahomes' number 1 weapon, but Rashid Rice has been the number 2 weapon. He's been their wide receiver 1 this year. He's been the number 2 weapon. So yeah, the 4 people that the Ravens need to focus on in terms of offensive weapons: Pacheco, Edwards-Helaire for the run game, Travis Kelsey, Rashid Rice for the pass game. Now, of course, if you have to put some level of concern on Noah Gray and some level of concern on Valdez-Scantling, because those guys can make some catches for you. But those 4 people we just named for the Chiefs, those are the 4 guys you have to look to stop. For Pacheco and Edwards-Helaire, we've got Roquan Smith and Patrick Queen to deal with the run game. For Travis Kelsey, we've got Kyle Hamilton, who's going to be matching up with them. But it'll also be alternating, so you'll see some of Travis Kelsey on Hamilton, or Hamilton on Travis Kelsey, or maybe Marcus Williams. Though I don't like that matchup with Marcus Williams, but Marcus Williams has made some good plays, so we'll see. But yeah. So yeah, I would say Hamilton's main focus is going to be on Kelsey. Pacheco, Roquan Smith, and Patrick Queen are responsible to stop the run. And then Rashid Rice is going to be guarded by either Marlon Humphrey if he can play, or Brandon Stevens. And if it's a situation where Marlon Humphrey can't play, then it'll be Brandon Stevens or Ronald Darby. Either way, we've got bodies to do this. So in terms of matching up with their receivers, our corners match well on those receivers. Is Andrews playing? We have no idea. He's been practicing all week. He's been a full participant all week. Harbaugh's going to do the whole classic. Let's be vague about whether or not he's going to be activated so we don't give out our game plan. Whether or not he's going to play, we don't know. It's just a classic thing. So, but yeah, we have the corners to match up with their receivers, specifically Rashid Rice. We have a safety that can match up well against Travis Kelsey. We've got the linebackers that are going to match up with the run game with Pacheco to make sure we slow down the run. We have everything we need to really beat Mahomes in this offense. But even though you have everything you need, there's a reason why Mahomes is the other X factor in this game. I don't care how great we are with the coverage. When we talk about it with Lamar Jackson, he's able to utilize his legs to just break out of the pocket, extend plays, throw the football down the field, but also utilize the wheels to take off and pick up first downs. Mahomes isn't as good as Lamar in doing that, but Mahomes has the capability of doing that, and he's done that throughout his postseason career. If everything's covered and we're playing perfect coverage, Mahomes still has the ability to scramble, and he's an underrated runner. If Mahomes keeps scrambling like this, I'm 2 seconds away from calling him a dual threat instead of a mobile quarterback. See, Lamar and Allen, they're true dual threat quarterbacks. Mahomes is a mobile quarterback. But if he keeps doing what he's doing with his legs, at some point I'm just going to be like, all right, he might be a dual threat quarterback. You feel like that. But I still think he's a mobile quarterback right now. But the matchup is there. The Ravens match up well against the Chiefs receivers, their tight ends. But even though you have the great matchup, it's going to be a hell of a challenge trying to stop Travis Kelsey. And Kyle Hamilton is going to have his hands full. Can he pull it off? We'll have to wait and see, but it's not going to be an easy task. So they have all the weapons to pull it off. They have the ability to get to Mahomes. But again, Mahomes is going to be Mahomes. And he's going to find ways to get the ball in the hands of his main guys. What the what? I didn't even see this. Perfect. Perfect. Love it. Love it. Ooh. But yeah, we've got the pieces to try to take certain individuals out the game. And it's not going to be easy, but it all comes down to assignments. Just want to know, what do you think of John's brother back in the NFL? Jim Harbaugh to the Chargers means there's no more excuses for that Chargers team. If they can't get to if they can't at least get to an AFC title game with Jim Harbaugh as the coach, I don't know what to say. If you can't have Jim Harbaugh as the head coach, Justin Herbert as the quarterback, with all that talent on the Chargers, and not be successful, if they can't get to at least an AFC title game, I don't think there's any hope for the Chargers. I don't. Stevens on Rashid, Darby on Valdez, Scanley, Marlon if he's back on Kadarius. However you want to do it is however you want to do it. We have the guys to match up with them. Marlowe's the only one I'm iffy about. Don't even know if he's going to play in the first place. I don't know if Marlon can produce coming off another injury. Remember how he played last time he came off injury? Not good. They'll probably still throw him out there, but it's up to them to try to rotate him. If he's not playing well, you have other guys. They could throw him out there, or because he's limited, they could potentially just say, let's just start Ronald Darby, like they did with the Texans game. But we'll see. Marlowe's good, but he needs to be great. He was playing great before he suffered that injury, but I don't know if he's going to be able to play like a great quarterback on Sunday. I don't know if he's going to be able to. Take away Kelsey, they have a problem. The rest of the receivers don't have hands. Well, no, they still have Rashid Rice. So you have to worry about Rashid Rice. It's about taking away the four guys I said. Travis Kelsey, Rashid Rice, Pacheco, and Clyde Edwards-Helaire. Those are the four people you have to take away from this game. If you cannot take away those four people, you're going to have trouble. If you can slow these guys down and effectively take them out the game, Baltimore can win this game in convincing fashion. But I don't know if you can take away all four of these guys, because no one's been able to do that consistently. But we'll see. If the Ravens can stop the run and force Pat to air it out on 3rd and long all game, turnovers can happen for sure. Yeah, Mahomes has had some moments where he's turned the ball over and it's been reckless with the ball, especially when the pressure's been there and he's been forced to press. We'll see. Bro, did you not see how many times they dropped the ball between all the receivers? I'm talking about Rashid Rice. You said they have no one else other than Travis Kelsey. You said, take away Travis Kelsey, they have a problem. The rest of the receivers don't have hands. What about Rashid Rice? Rashid Rice doesn't have a dropping issue. You're talking about Valdez Scanley. You're talking about Kadarius Toney. You're talking about Watson. Rashid Rice? No. They have Rashid. Rashid Rice has been the only bright spot of that receiving core. So it's not about just taking away Kelsey. Rashid Rice is still there in the passing game. And he's made plays all season. He's been wide receiver 1 by default. And he's been the only one that's consistently caught the football. So no, it's not just about taking away Kelsey. They still have Rashid Rice, who's been great all season for them. So it's not just about taking away Kelsey. They have to take away Kelsey and Rice. Take away both those guys from the passing game and then slow down Pacheco and Edwards-Helaire. And that's where you can get it. But it's not just all about Travis Kelsey. Rashid Rice is the only receiver that's been consistently catching the football for them. We're not talking about Valdez Scanley. We're not talking about Toney. We're not talking about Watson. We're not talking about Gray. Rashid Rice is the other receiver that's been on his A game and consistently catching the football from Mahomes, which is why I said Travis Kelsey and Rashid Rice have to be taken out the game. Would you view Lamar as a top 10 quarterback all time if he gets his first ring alongside his second incoming MVP with 2 All-Pros? You can have the conversation about Lamar Jackson being an all-time great quarterback if he's got the 2 MVPs, 2 All-Pros, and a Super Bowl trophy with Super Bowl MVP. You can have the conversation, but I don't know if you're going to put him top 10 all-time immediately. Him winning a ring puts him as a bona fide first ballot Hall of Famer without a debate. You know, because without the ring right now, you can argue he's a first ballot Hall of Famer, but you know, that's an argument. Him winning a ring solidifies him as a first ballot Hall of Famer and puts him into conversations where you can sit back and say all-time great quarterback. Would it put him in the top 10? I feel like that would be a discussion that could be had, but I'm not fully sure if people will be ready to put him in the top 10. Mahomes will get hurt easily if he becomes a mobile quarterback because he's slower than Lamar and Josh. If he's getting out of bounds, that's a different conversation. Even though the receivers on the Chiefs drop balls, they're still in the NFL. MVS, I think, Yeah, he made 2 great catches against the Bills. If he brings his hands the way he brought his hands to Buffalo, they got a shot with that. I say we put Stevens on Rice. I don't trust Humphrey coming off the injury. I wouldn't mind that at all. Warriors are trash. They're losing by 17. I don't really care what's happening with the Warriors. They've been trash all season. It don't matter to me. I'm not focused on the Warriors. I don't think Rice will be a factor in this game. Really? You don't think he'll be a factor in this game? Are you saying he won't be a factor in this game because we're going to take him away? Or are you just saying he won't be a factor in this game in general? If you're just saying he won't be a factor in this game because we've got guys... Well, actually, that's what it seems like what you're saying. I don't think Rice will be a factor in this game. We have the tools, and we've used them to take away the biggest threats of any team we played. So, yeah, if you're saying we have guys that are going to take him away, that's cool. But he is still a weapon we have to focus on, which just comes back to my point where I'm saying you have to take away Kelsey and Rashid Rice in order to shut this offense down. And if you slow down the run game with Pacheco and Edwards-Helaire, there's not much that's going to happen with the Chiefs' offense. So that's why the 4 most important players of focus and emphasis, Travis Kelce, Rashid Rice, Pacheco, and Edwards-Helaire. Those are the 4 players we got to focus on. Officiating will be tight this game. Can't let officiating affect the game. It's going to be Ravens versus Chiefs / refs. They better be... I don't care about the refs. I never use the refs as a factor for wins or losses. You have plenty of opportunities. You have plenty of opportunities to get the job done in 60 minutes. I'm not about to use the refs as an excuse. You have plenty of opportunities. I don't care about the refs. I don't. At the end of the day, it's win or lose. You can't use the refs as an excuse. In the all-time debates competition matters. Brady and Manning had to play against each other in all those tough Ravens Steelers defenses. In this era, Mahomes and Lamar haven't faced that level of competition. Well, every era is different, man. Every era is different. What can you showcase in this era that matches up with those defenses from that earlier era in the early 2000s? What defense today matches up with that? Every era is different, and we can't punish this era for the level of competition they're facing compared to previous eras. The previous eras were more physical, but with each era, more and more talented guys are coming up with. I think you can sit back and take away from the level of defense they had to play, but I think what helps benefit guys like Mahomes and Lamar, and even everyone else that's trying to be in that conversation, is the fact of the era of the quarterback happening in the AFC. Let's look at the AFC quarterbacks: Mahomes, Lamar, Allen, Burrow, Herbert, C.J. Stroud now emerging, Trevor Lawrence. You've got a plethora of quarterback talent. All of these guys talented. And you got the other guys like Tua as well. We've got plenty of talent here. The AFC has never been this talented at the quarterback position during the time Manning and Brady were there. It was never this talented. It was never this talented. So what can benefit Mahomes and Lamar and anyone else in this era is winning in a conference that's filled with all these talented quarterbacks. And Watson, that's another one too, if he gets back to form. So much talent at the quarterback position that was not there when Brady and Manning were playing. So yeah, they didn't have to face off against the defenses that those guys faced off against. But those guys didn't have to face off to the level of quarterback talent that's here. Because you look at the quarterbacks they were playing with, other than Rivers and Roethlisberger, who else were you really dealing with from a quarterback position in the AFC? Who was really that guy? Occasionally you could throw Joe Flacco into that one, but it's not like the quarterback competition in the AFC was high during the time Brady and Manning were there. Phillip Rivers, Ben Roethlisberger, a little bit of Flacco, but everyone knew it was more about the defense than Flacco. The quarterback competition wasn't high in the AFC. In this era, it's the case. Carson Palmer was solid in the early 2000s, but he was never seen as a top-tier quarterback. The second they had a chance to draft Andy Dalton, Palmer was gone. And even Andy Dalton never lived up to the potential they thought he was going to be, which is why the second they had a chance to draft Joe Burrow, they did. So the quarterback competition was never as competitive in the AFC as it's been in this era. Manning and Brady didn't have to deal with this level of quarterback talent. But they never had to deal with, just like we never had to deal with that level of defense, they never had to deal with this level of quarterback competition. So it is what it is. Yeah, NFL wants stupid, annoying Taylor Swift. Again, I have nothing against Taylor Swift, so you guys can have at it with your Taylor Swift comments. I don't have any hatred against Taylor Swift. I'm not going to blame her for the media trying to exploit her for fans' attentions, for clout, and for money. That's what businesses do. So I'm not going to blame her. I have nothing against Taylor Swift. I have nothing against Taylor Swift. So you guys are free to say whatever statements you want. I have nothing to say. I don't have any hatred towards Taylor Swift. I'm not blaming her for the constant media coverage on her because she doesn't control the media. This is what the media always does. Everything that's happening with Taylor Swift was exactly what happened when Tony Romo was dating Jessica Simpson. So this doesn't really change. They did this back in, what was it, 06, 07, when Romo was dating her. They always do this whenever a celebrity ends up dating an athlete and she's at the game supporting. It's what the league does. So I'm not blaming her for the media doing that. But you guys are free to do so. Lamar and the Ravens are on another level. Now Lamar has weapons around him. No one will beat Baltimore. In fact, we may repeat a Super. Can we not talk about next year without having to do anything this year? We have the job right now is to get the job. The focus right now is to get the job done on Sunday. I'm not talking about Super Bowl this year, Super Bowl next. No, the job and the focus is Sunday. Win the game. That's the focus. That's the job we have to do. So let's focus on that before we start talking about the future. I'm probably going to end up live streaming, but who knows? Maybe I end up going to the game. We'll see. What's going on, Legendary? Appreciate you stopping by. Andy Dalton was okay, but Palmer was better. Fair. But they never won a playoff game with Palmer, even though it wasn't his fault. The one playoff game it looked like they could have won, Palmer got hurt and got knocked out the game on the first play. What was that, 06, 07? It was unfair. Might have been 05, I don't know. NFC had Breeze, Eli, A-Rod, Romo. I think it was about it. There wasn't really... I don't think we've ever had an era with this much talent at the quarterback position. Yeah, 05, 06. Yeah, that was them against the Pittsburgh Steelers. Literally, the first play, he takes a shot down the field. Boom! Knocked out the game. He's out. There goes your franchise quarterback. Cincinnati's not going to beat Pittsburgh at that point. It's over. Would Tannehill be considered a mid-tier quarterback? He was average, but if he gave him talent, he could showcase what he could do. He thrived when he got to Tennessee that 1 year. Actually, for 2 years, he was thriving with Tennessee, but at some point, it started to go downhill. So he showed he had something. Lamar's going to be hoisting the Lamar Hunt Trophy. That's the hope. Ravens, that's the hope I have. That's the belief I have, and that's the belief many other Ravens fans have. But at the end of the day, the game is going to be played on the field 60 minutes. So the Ravens have to go earn that trophy before they can book their ticket to Vegas. It wasn't... If Luck wasn't decimated with injuries, do you think he's still playing today? Yeah. But, yeah, in terms of the defensive matchup here, the edge does go to the Ravens. But the job that the Ravens have to do is damn near impossible because you have to. It feels damn near impossible because you're gonna have to shut down all these pieces and you're gonna have to find a way to contain Mahomes. And doing that has been so difficult for so many teams to do. The Ravens have the personnel to do it, but will they be able to execute that personnel? Or will that personnel be able to execute that game plan on the field of locking these players up? Like I said, Travis Kelce, Rashid Rice, Pacheco, Edwards-Helaire. That's the four they have to focus in on. They do have to put some emphasis on MBS if he's going to catch the football. They do got to put some emphasis on Gray if he's going to catch the football. If guys are catching the football for the Chiefs, this is going to be a highly competitive game. If they're making drops all day, this could turn ugly fast. But yeah, it really just comes down to guys making plays. And it comes down to that. I know you said low scoring, but do you have a score prediction? Yep. With everything that's happening here, I think it's fair to say it's going to be a close game because Mahomes is going to find ways to put points up. I think it's going to be a close game. I give the edge to the Ravens here from a matchup perspective, though it's very close. And a few things can easily go the Chiefs' way and they win. But I think it's going to be a close game no matter how you look at it. I think it's going to come down to the X factors in Lamar Jackson and Patrick Mahomes just making plays down the stretch. And I trust in our defense to be able to make stops in key situations. And I trust in Lamar and the offense to be able to make plays and put points on the board in key situations. If the Ravens start fast, if they start fast both offensively and defensively and get off to a hot start, they could potentially take control of this game early on. If it's kind of a back and forth affair, it's going down to the wire, and we'll see what happens. The game plan for the offense needs to be to establish the run. If you watch the Chiefs' defense against against Josh Allen, the Buffalo Bills, Josh Allen was running the ball all over them. James Cook wasn't running it highly effectively, but he was still running on them. The run game was working. So I think the number one thing the Ravens want to do is establish the run game. You had over 200 yards rushing against the Texans. You had over 200 yards rushing against the Texans. If you can bring that with you to this game against the Chiefs, you have a great chance to win this football game. So establish the run the football, establish the run, and then take what the defense gives you. I like taking, these throws over the middle, short passes here, both in and outside the numbers, just getting the ball in the hands of our receivers and letting them go to work. We don't need to take shots down the field against the secondary. It's not what you're looking for. We're not looking to take a shot down the field and end up, giving them a turnover on that because everybody's locked up and we're just throwing it into the secondary. We don't need to do that. Take what the defense gives you. Run the ball. Take some checkdowns. Take the short and intermediate passes. Take what the defense gives you, and we'll go from there. Defensively, you have to emphasize your focus on those four main players we said. Roquan Smith and Patrick Queen are responsible for slowing down the run game in Pacheco and Edwards-Helaire. Marcus Williams and especially Kyle Hamilton is going to be responsible for dealing with Travis Kelce. Either Brandon Stevens, Marlon Humphrey, if he plays, or Ronald Darby will be responsible for dealing with Rashee Rice. And everybody else has to stick to their man. They got to make sure the coverage is there, and they got to put pressure on the Chiefs' offensive line and get to Mahomes with the four-man rush. You have Matabike, you have Clowney, you got Van Noy, you got the guys to put pressure on that line and get to Mahomes. Put some pressure on him without blitzing and force this team into third and long situations, and they'll be forced to punt. If we can do all these things, we will win the game. But again, we know this is Mahomes and the Chiefs. We know how this is going to go. I'm saying it's coming down to the wire here. It's coming down to the final minutes of the game, to the final seconds of the game. I have the Ravens winning 27-23. That's my final prediction. I'm going to say the Ravens win this 27-23. They're going to advance to the Super Bowl, and they're going to take on who? I might have to make another live stream to talk about both teams here, because I don't want to talk about my prediction in terms of what I have for the Lions and Niners here. This is a prediction about the Chiefs and the Ravens. This is a preview about that. But in terms of the NFC matchup, I'm going to wait on that because I got time tomorrow. So I might have another live stream tomorrow. It's 11:20 right now, and I've been live streaming for almost 2 hours. So I know I'm getting ready to leave now. But I do have the Ravens winning this football game 27-23. I think it's going to come down to the wire. I wouldn't mind if we would say 27-24, but I don't want to say 27-24 because there was one time where I said 27-24, and I was correct. 2018, we faced off against the Chiefs. I said in my prediction video, I don't know if I said in my prediction video, but I said I have the Ravens pulling off the upset, winning 27-24. That game's final score, 27-24. Chiefs had 27. We had 24. So I don't do 27-24 anymore. But I still think at the end of the day, it's going to come down to late game heroics from Lamar Jackson in the offense. I'm picking the Ravens to win 27-23. It's going to be a hard-fought game. It's going to be a game that comes down to the wire. Like I've said, neither one of these defenses has given up 30 points. The Chiefs are not giving up 30 points to this Ravens offense. The Ravens are not giving up 30 points to the Chiefs offense. It's going to be in the 20s. The Chiefs offense, the Mahomes and the Chiefs, when they're on fire and they're catching passes, they're way too good to be held to under 20. I don't think this is going to be a game where Mahomes is going to be held under 20. I'm giving them 23, and I'm giving us 27. I give us the edge because I think down the stretch, we've been good with getting the ball late in the game, killing the clock, running the football, and getting into the end zone to take the lead. I feel like that's what it's going to take. We're going to win this 27-23. It's going to be close. It's going to be competitive. It's going to come down to the wire. Wouldn't even mind saying 27-26, but it's a cliche to say we're going to win this by one game, by 1 point. I'm saying 27-23. I can easily see it being a 27-24 situation where we need a Justin Tucker field goal to send us to the Super Bowl. We'll see. But I'm not one that predicts blowouts. Mahomes has been blown out 4 times in his career. I don't expect this to be number 5. I don't predict blowouts for Mahomes. I just see him. Whenever it happens, I'm there to be like, okay, well, he got blown out. But I don't predict a blowout for Mahomes. Mahomes isn't the type of quarterback that gets blown out. He's been blown out 4 times in his 6-year career. He doesn't get blown out. And that defense somehow does good enough to keep them in the game to where Mahomes makes sure they don't get blown out. So my mindset is I don't see them getting blown out. I see this being highly competitive. But I'm going to trust in the Ravens offense, and I'm going to trust in the Ravens. I'm going to trust in Lamar Jackson, the Ravens offense, to give us the lead. Or not even give us the lead, but to maintain the lead. And I'm going to trust in the defense to do their job and make sure we win the game. He got blown out by the Raiders this season. That's probably the 4th time he's got blown out. Like I said, Mahomes has been blown out 4 times in his 6-year career. So we'll see if this will be number 5. I see a lot of people feeling confident, but I'm not here to put that up. I have immense respect for this Chiefs team, and I'm not about to sit back and disrespect them by saying they're going to get blown out. I don't see this as a blowout. I don't see this as a domination game. I don't see this as an easy game. I expect this to be a close game. 27-23, Ravens advance to the Super Bowl, and we'll go from there. Hope you're wrong only because I'm a Chiefs fan, but respect your opinion. It's going to be a great game. Appreciate that. We'll see. It's going to be a great game. Either way, it's going to be a close game. Anyone that thinks the Ravens are going to blow these guys out, I don't see it. But hey, if they do so, hand us the trophy right now. Because if they blow out Mahomes and the Chiefs, what are the Lions going to do? What are the Niners going to do? At that point, I know every single Ravens fan is going to be talking so much trash. If the Ravens blow out Mahomes and the Chiefs to head to the Super Bowl, I don't care what the Lions do. I don't care what the Niners do. Every Ravens fan is going to put their feet up and say, bro, we got this Super Bowl. Even though we know we still got to be focused, nobody's going to sit back and be humble. Not a single Ravens fan is going to be humble if we blow out Mahomes and the Chiefs. So we'll see what happens, but I think it's going to be a close game. 27-23. When the Ravens and Chiefs match up, it's usually a close game. 3 of the 4 previous matchups we've had, it's been a close game that's come down to the wire. Either it's trying to make a comeback or it's just a back and forth affair. 27-24, 33-28, 36-35. The only game that wasn't close was a 30-24 matchup. Not 34, no, 34-20 matchup. We always play each other close. We always do. And the Chiefs, they're not the type of team that usually gets blown out in the playoffs. They're not the type of team that usually gets blown out in the playoffs. So, again, if they're going to get blown out, I have to see it to believe it. But I respect what the Chiefs have been able to do. I respect what the Chiefs have been putting out here. And honestly, I believe they're going to be able to score 20 points on this defense because of what Mahomes brings to the table. But if that doesn't happen, we going to act a fool. We blow out Mahomes and the Chiefs, we are thriving. We blow out Mahomes and the Chiefs, it's a wrap, but I don't see it happening. I don't see it happening. I don't see it happening. I do not see it happening. But if we do, you ain't going to say nothing to us. Don't care if it's the Lions in the Super Bowl. Don't care if it's the Niners in the Super Bowl. If the Ravens blow out the Chiefs, it might be a wrap. It might be a wrap at that point. But I say 27-23. I was actually close to saying 31-23, but I'll say 27-23. I'll say it's going to be a close game. But we'll see what happens. I hope for a blowout, because I would love to be sitting here in the 4th quarter celebrating a win. But I think it's going to be a close game. I've been saying that all week. It's going to be a close game. It's not going to get to the 30s, but we'll see what happens. Man, every game we say it's going to be close, it's never close. I say 38-14, Jackson 5. Hey, feel free to have that confidence. The Chiefs aren't like every other team. I give them the respect. If this was Buffalo, man, you don't understand. If Buffalo would have advanced to the AFC title game, I would have actually picked us to blow them out. Because that defense is decimated. They have no answers for Lamar Jackson. And Josh Allen, he's been turning the ball over in the regular season, and our defense would thrive against him. But this isn't Buffalo, and this isn't going up against Josh Allen. If that your prediction of 38-14, I would have been inclined to say that if we were going up against the Bills. No question. He got blown out by the Raiders this season. Can't use the pass, bro. Can't use the pass. Cannot use the pass. Because if we want to use the pass, we lost 17-10 to the Steelers. Do you think our offense is going to put up 10 points against the Chiefs? Can't use the pass, my man. The Ravens will blow them up this time. You mean blow them out. I don't think they're going to blow them up. We're not trying to go to jail. That's a terrorist type of thing. Let's calm down. I know what you mean, but blow them out. End of the day, I just want to win the game regardless of the score. Pretty much. I don't really make score predictions, but a lot of you guys want me to give score predictions. Let's be confident, not arrogant. Yep. Y'all anxious for nothing. Yeah, a lot of people, and I know you put they're gonna blow out the Ravens. Ravens are gonna blow out the Chiefs 42-9. You got that there, but I'm not saying that. I hope we destroy the Chiefs. As a fan of the Ravens, I hope we destroy the Chiefs. But I have too much respect for them, and I know what they're capable of. I just believe they're going to keep the game close. But we'll see what happens. Again, remember 31-9 the Super Bowl? True, that's a blowout, but we can't think about the past. Any chance we get OT? I think there's a chance we get OT, but I don't think it's going to happen. Calling for rain all day Sunday with 10 to 15 mile per hour winds. It's supposed to, there's a 40% chance it's going to rain on Sunday, but I don't know about the wind. I didn't see the weather on that one. I didn't see anything about any wind. Could win 10 to 3, still wouldn't care. Win is a win. Dude, a win to get to the Super Bowl is a win. Nobody cares how you win the game. If we played the Bills, I'd say if we played the Bills 38 to 14, I would have felt confident saying that, because their defense has no answer for our offense. That defense is decimated. They don't have any linebackers. I'm telling you, they wouldn't have been able to stop our run game. So I would have felt a lot more confident to say we would have blown out the Bills. But the Chiefs, no, I wouldn't say that. Either way, guys, I got the Ravens winning 27-23. That's pretty much all I wanted to say here. Wow, this stream went on for 2 hours. Did not expect a 2-hour stream today. But whatever you talk about the Ravens, you know it's going to go on for a while. Either way, 27-23 is my score prediction. We'll see what happens on Sunday. I believe Clowney and Van Noy combo would harass Mahomes. That's going to be their job. We'll see if they can get to him. With that being said, guys, I appreciate you stopping by. Honestly, I'll be back tomorrow. I'm pretty sure I got to be back tomorrow, because this was just a preview for the Chiefs and Ravens as a Ravens fan. But I also want to make my championship week prediction. We just did Ravens Chiefs. That will be brief, but we didn't get to talk about the Niners and the Lions, and I got to talk about that. So I'll probably be back tomorrow to discuss that. Either way, guys, I hope you all enjoy the rest of your night. It's been fun. We are, 3 days away from the Ravens and the Chiefs going at it for a trip to the Super Bowl. And Ravens, you know the assignment. You know what the focus is. Let's go out there. Let's execute. I'll probably have to make a hype video before the game starts. But let's keep the focus. Like Lamar Jackson says, we haven't complete. No, we're not done here. The job's not done. He didn't say that, but he said the mission's not completed. But I want to say he basically was in his Kobe bag saying job's not finished. We got to keep our focus. We got to be locked in the way Lamar's locked in and the rest of the team's locked in. Just got to be locked in, got to be focused, understand the assignments. Don't take anything for granted. Don't underestimate your opponent. Go out there, play your A+ game, get the job done, and handle business. If we don't let them score, they're not going to win the game. If they don't score, they don't win. Let's handle our business. Simple as that, Ravens. Simple as that. With that being said, Ravens flock, I appreciate all of you stopping by. Thank you so much. I got the Ravens winning 27-23, advancing to the Super Bowl, and we'll go from there. But we'll see what happens, folks. That's all I got. I'm going to head on out. You guys enjoy the rest of your night, and I will see you later. Probably tomorrow. Can't guarantee it, but I will see you guys later. Until then, guys, stay safe and peace out.